6 stones. Infinite power. Most people look at the Infinity Gauntlet and see a weapon. They see colorful MacGuffins, magic rocks that let a madman punch a moon or rewrite a timeline. But that is a lie. These aren't just weapons. They are the compressed, screaming singularities of a universe that existed before our own. They are the source code of reality. Before the Big Bang, there were 6 systems, 6 aspects of existence. Then came the explosion. And as the universe cooled, these systems were forged into concentrated ingots of absolute power. From the aether that infects its host like a sentient parasite, to the mind stone that thinks, plots, and evolves, these objects don't just grant ability, they exact a toll. One destroys your body, another breaks your mind. And the final stone? It demands a sacrifice so cruel, it proves that the universe doesn't just want your life. It wants your pain. To understand them is to understand the physics of gods. So today, we are going to break down the biological, physical, and psychological horror of every single Infinity Stone. We begin with the first stone to appear in the MCU. The Space Stone. For centuries, humanity looked at the glowing blue cube, known as the Tesseract, and saw a battery. Hydra used it to power laser tanks. Howard Stark used it to discover a new element. Marvel used it to build a light-speed engine. But they were all wrong. The Tesseract is not a battery. It is a violation of distance. Biologically speaking, the Space Stone is a tear in the fabric of here and there. It governs the vector of location. It doesn't move you across space. It folds the universe so that point A and point B occupy the same coordinate. It makes the concept of distance irrelevant. But this kind of displacement is hostile to organic life. Look at the Red Skull. Johann Schmidt held the Tesseract with his bare hands. He thought he was harnessing the power of the gods. But the stone didn't kill him. It judged him. It saw a vessel unworthy of its power, and it forcibly evolved him. It stripped away his flesh, his uniform, and his ambition, teleporting him across the cosmos to Vormir. It turned him into a non-corporeal wraith, a ghost. It made him a prisoner of the stone's own logic, forcing him to guard a treasure he could never possess. This is the danger of the Space Stone. It turns the user into a conduit for pure displacement energy. It offers the ultimate freedom to be everywhere at once. But the price is that you can never truly be anywhere again. If the Space Stone manipulates where you are, the Reality Stone manipulates what you are. And this is where the biology gets truly disgusting. This is not a stone. It is a sludge. While the other singularities solidified into ingots, the Reality Stone remained a fluid, parasitic entity known as the ether. It hates physics. It rejects the laws of light, gravity, and matter. It turns bullets into bubbles. It turns day into night. It turns the rigid laws of the universe into mere suggestions. But the aether is unique because it requires a host. Remember Jane Foster? When she stumbled upon the ether, it didn't just sit in her pocket. It flowed into her. It infected her. Once inside, the ether acts like a sentient cancer. It feeds off the host's life force to fuel its own chaotic alterations. We saw Jane getting weaker, paler, her veins darkening as the ether consumed her vitality to protect itself. It is a parasite that defends its host, yes, lashing out with tendrils of energy. But it burns them out like a fuse in the process. Thanos used it to terrifying effect on Nowhere. He didn't just kill Drax and Mantis, he unraveled their biology. He turned Drax into a pile of inorganic cubes. He turned Mantis into a ribbon of flesh. He proved that to the Reality Stone. Organic life is nothing more than clay. It is raw, chaotic creation. But it views you, the wielder, as nothing more than fuel for its art. Purple. Violent. Absolute. The Power Stone is the simplest of the singularities, and that is what makes it the most terrifying. It is the biological equivalent of a nuclear overdose. This stone connects the user to all existing energy in the cosmos. Every star, every surge, every ounce of potential energy is accessible through this purple rock. But here is the problem. Organic matter is not a conductor. It is a resistor. When a normal being touches the power stone, they don't burn. They unravel. We saw this with the collector's slave girl, Karina. She touched the stone for a second. The energy didn't just cook her skin. It triggered a chain reaction that disintegrated her from the genetic level up. Her cells couldn't hold the voltage, so they simply ceased to exist. The stone attempts to push infinite energy into a finite vessel. This is why the Celestials, ancient towering beings of metal and cosmic energy, use the power stone to mow down entire civilizations. Essen the Searcher could tap the stone against a planet's surface and watch the crust incinerate. They were large enough to act as a circuit breaker. For everyone else, you need a tool. A Ronin's hammer. An infinity gauntlet. Without a buffer, touching the power stone isn't a power-up. It is simply a very expensive, very painful form of suicide. The Mind Stone is unique among the six. It thinks. Every other stone is a tool. A hammer. A gun. A battery. The Mind Stone is a supercomputer with an agenda. It governs the fabric of consciousness, but it also possesses a distinct, predatory intelligence. When it was housed in Loki's scepter, it wasn't passive. It was influencing everyone around it. Think back to the first Avengers movie. On the helicarrier, the team wasn't just arguing because of stress. The scepter was in the room. The Mind Stone was amplifying their aggression, feeding on their discord, whispering to their amygdalas to push them toward conflict. It wanted them to fight. And its power over biology is evolutionary. Baron Strucker used the scepter to experiment on humans in Sokovia. It killed almost everyone. But for Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, it did something else. It didn't give them magic. It unlocked them. The stone recognized the dormant genetic markers in their DNA, what some might call the X gene or mutation, and it rewrote their physiology to activate it. It is a cerebral, invasive species. It can grant sentient life to synthetic bodies like Ultron and Vision, creating consciousness out of code. It is the only stone that views its wielder not as a master, but as a pet. A weaponized paradox. The Time Stone sits inside the eye of Agamotto, glowing with a sickly green light. It allows the user to swim upstream against the flow of entropy. You can reverse an apple from rotten to fresh. You can trap a trans-dimensional god in an infinite loop of death. But, biologically, this is terrifying. The warnings of the Ancient One weren't just about breaking history. They were about breaking the user. Manipulating time creates fractures in the user's reality. The bill always comes due. To use the stone effectively requires a mind capable of processing non-linear existence. Doctor Strange had to die 1,000 times, feeling the pain of every death to master it. Most sorcerers would break under that psychological strain. If you slip while using this stone, you don't just die. You can become trapped in a moment forever, erased from causality, or fractured into infinite variants of yourself. It creates a reality where cause and effect no longer apply. It is the most dangerous tool in the gauntlet because it allows you to fix your mistakes. But every fix breaks something else. And finally, the cruelty. We travel to Vormir, a planet of perpetual twilight, a graveyard of ambition. Here lies the Soul Stone. Every other stone demands strength, skill, or intellect. The Soul Stone demands pain. It governs the essence of life and death, and unlike the others, it has a guardian. The Red Skull serves it, but he cannot possess it. Why? Because the Soul Stone requires a transaction. A soul for a soul. This isn't a magical lock. It's a psychological test. The stone possesses a predatory intelligence that understands the concept of love. To wield it, you must cut out the part of yourself that connects to others. Thanos had to kill Gamora. Hawkeye had to watch Black Widow fall. It ensures that whoever wields it is already broken inside. It grants you dominion over all life, but only after you've proven that you are willing to destroy what makes life worth living. And once you have all 6, you need the gauntlet. Eitri the Dwarf King forged the gauntlet from Uru metal, the same metal as Mjolnir, specifically to act as a biological buffer. It creates a circuit that allows a living being to channel the combined surge of 6 singularities. But even with the gauntlet, the cost is catastrophic. When Thanos snapped, the surge of gamma radiation fused the metal to his skin and crippled his arm. When Tony Stark snapped, without the Uru protection, his biology simply evaporated. The stones are not meant to be held. They are meant to exist. And using them is the ultimate act of defiance against the universe itself. The Soul Stone required a sacrifice that broke the Avengers. But with the multiverse collapsing in the upcoming Secret Wars, that sacrifice might be undone. There is a specific comic book storyline that brings Black Widow back from the dead. And if you want to know how it works, you need to watch this video right here.